Okay, so in today's class, I will be discussing with you chapter number 6. Chapter number 6 that I have right here is your digital divide. And right within this chapter, we are going to first discuss that what it is meant by a digital divide. How can we recognize that what causes it, and how can we understand the effects of this digital divide and how it can be reduced. So first of all, as an introduction, you need to understand that we live in an ever evolving, ever increasing digital world, right? Like we live into a digital world, and as it is growing, it is becoming quite complex, and it has its growth issues as well. But the term that is digital divide that is being discussed into this chapter, it is basically discussing the technological divide between countries, right? Like if I am discussing the digital divide right here, that means that I am discussing the technological divide that is between countries, demographic groups, economic areas, and by the term demographic, I means to say that basically if I am just focusing on a particular section of a population, like some specific particular section of a population or demographic may be highly privileged other than in other parts of the country. This is quite possible as well, and it can depend on their many sort of issues. And if I am discussing regarding the economic one, economic economic basically means that I am basically considering a country in terms of their production and consumption of goods and services. Like I can say it certainly that in different parts of the world, some people may have an access to the basic necessities of life. Like let me give you an example of my country, that is Pakistan. We do have different areas within to Pakistan. I can say that some are less privileged, some are highly privileged. Like in some areas, I do have access to the basic necessities, to the basic facilities of life, such as water, electricity, cleanliness, education, healthcare, electricity. But in some cases, there could be that is not quite possible. So you see that the digital divide basically means that how the world is being divided technologically. Like how could that some people in different parts of the world may have access to different scenarios and different features they have. Like let's take an example of yourself. Like you are from Uganda, right? So you just said that you do not have most of the good IT teachers in their country. So there may be a scarce of resource into that. But similarly, in my country, I do have many of them. So you see that this is to be known as a digital divide, a technological divide that is dividing the population among different factors. And those factors could be demographic. Those factors could be economic. Like I can say that a lack of access of technology can cause it. A digital divide can be caused by a lack of access of technology. Like I can say that some people might not be having those mobile phones. They won't be having those telephones, personal computers, internet. So this is seen as this is seen as an issue, and the disadvantage is that the like some people may have it and some people do not have it. So one statement I can say right here that the digital divide that we are discussing right in today's class, the digital divide is the one that people experience can depend on several aspects. Like I can say age, status, locations. This is a short introduction of digital divide and how the people are experiencing them, and the people or groups that are affected by this digital divide. What can they be? Like first of all, I can say that uh, people living in cities, comparatively, people living in rural areas. So you can say that people living in cities are much more privileged comparatively to the one that the peoples are living in rural areas in access of education, healthcare, facilities. The other group of people who are impacted by this, like people educated in using technology, like people who are technology friendly. Comparatively, people who are uneducated. I can also say that this digital divide can also impact older people and younger people as well, because younger people are quite energetic. They easily learn the technology. It becomes easy for them for their users. Comparatively, the older people, they are not much comfortable with the technology, and they even have some reluctance into learning them. So you can basically understand that what does this technological divide really means. Another area that is being impacted by this, I can say that people from different social, economic groups or background, and I can say that areas that are more industrially developed comparatively areas that are not, comparatively less developed areas. So you can see that all countries experience this digital divide at one level or other level. At a national level, the digital divide basically describes the difference between those that who have an access to a modern technology and those who do not have that. Whereas if I talk about an international level, I can say that I am basically referring to the use of technology into different countries. So the basic idea should be clear with you that this is the digital divide that matters. Like the people who do not have access to internet, and it is for those countries that are developed or not developed. So the first area that we will be discussing today is going to be the digital divide among the people that are living into cities versus that are living into rural and urban areas. And before than that, there are two important keywords that you should be noting right here. That is that what is the difference between an infrastructure and broadband. So they might come in handy for you. So I'm just writing them down right here. That now if I'm going to discuss about infrastructure, infrastructure basically means that these are the facilities that are needed for the operation of a society. Basic infrastructure like such as I can give you an example of roads, buildings, utilities, whereas broadband stands for your basically a method of data transmission that is capable of transmitting a high level of traffic or high level of data. So now let's move on. Now, first of all, we will be discussing that how the cities are like how the digital divide is being caused between the cities and the rural living. So the geographical location of a person can affect its access to the technological services. One aspect is that whether they live in a city or whether they live into a rural location, like one of the main service can be affected by their geographical location is the internet. Like internet is basically based upon where the place where you are living, and the infrastructure for the availability of a broadband, like for the availability of the broadband, that you must be having a high cables wire so that you can transmit the data. So this is not available in almost all of the cities or all of the countries. So when it comes to an internet, you need to understand that we should that city or that country should must be developed. It should must be having a much more infrastructure so that it can provide the facility. Like the most likely cost is linked to the higher concentration of the people that live in a city compared to rural area. This means that the potential customers for the internet service providers are going to be living into a city. So this is one of the reasons that governments and agent policies are more entitled to be focused on the people that are living into cities other than into urban areas. And such issues can be caused like a slow internet or a reduced level of enjoyment or entertainment. Like people in rural areas may not be able to use the services offered by online televisions, broadcasting company, or they not be able to talk to their personal family or friends. They might feel isolated. So this is one of the example of to that. And the issue is of lack of access to the high internet speed. Like if you do not have an internet, that means that you do not have access to those facilities. And if you do not have access to those facilities, this creates the digital divide, the technological divide that we are studying today. So this basically typically answers two of the questions. The first question was that what is meant by a digital divide and what is causing that. The causes of that is that what we are discussing right now. Like here is one of the real life example. Like a Sophia lives in a rural area of Spain, and access to a high speed internet in her village is very limited. So she is basically a huge furniture designer who works from home. So if Sophia do not have a basic internet, that means that she cannot deliver the product, she cannot maintain a consistent communication with her client, she cannot contact with them, she cannot send her work. So it would create difficulties for her, and as per the competitive advantage the other people would be having on her. So this is one of the examples. Like, but the point is that how can we reduce this digital divide into the rural areas? Because right now into cities this is not a problem, but this is a major problem in your rural area. So the quality of the infrastructure in rural areas could definitely be improved, and many governments around the world are working with internet providers, offering them incentives to improve the infrastructure in rural locations. Their building infrastructures are capable of high speed internet, or giving them an internet can be a challenge. So this is normally because of the cost involved into the infrastructure is so large that most of the governments cannot spend too much onto these structures. So right here I have some questions as well. The first question is that how could a lack of high-speed internet accessibility affects a person's ability to use online learning platforms? Yes, this is one A. Question two is how could a lack of mobile to internet service, what kind of services they may not be able to use? The first question can be, now moving on to the 6.2, which is your technology educated versus uneducated, technology and uneducated. So what do you think? Like, uh, if I just give you two groups of people, like this is group A and this is group B. Group A is actually technologically educated, and group B is not technology educated. So how do you think, like, how it is going to create a difference among them? Any ideas?
No, sir.
See, let me give you an example of like, let's say that team A is of very young people, energetic people, people like us, like mostly in their like above 15 and less than 30. And B has the people that are above 50. So whenever there is a new mobile phone, there is a new technology, you can see that the people from group A are smart learners, they are quick learners, they are comfortable with the technology, and anything that comes up, they have that thing into them that they can easily deal with any complexity. When it comes to technology, they can solve it and they can use it to their maximum potential. Whereas when it comes to the group B, you can see them that these are the type of the people that are technologically resistant. Like they feel a lot of difficulty and confusion to cope up with some tasks. Like for example, if I just give a 60 above old person to complete an assignment of Excel, so it would definitely be a big chance or a difficulty for him to complete that because he's not that much technology friendly. But similarly, if I just give that to a younger person who is a young, energetic, who is comfortable with the technology, so he might be able to do that real quick. So you can see that using technologies can be really complex, but different type of technologies have different interfaces and different methods for their use. Like without a certain level of education and how to use the technology, it can be quite challenging for them to use. So Many companies have their online booking system as well, and many companies offer you online systems to purchase products, to purchase tickets, books, or service. But this can be, I can say that this can be quite simple and easy for the people who are using technology to do that, comparing to those who still do not use technology, or they have to go into the shopping malls to still complete their shopping. So the point is that they miss out this opportunity that they can do that even at the palm of their hand. However, there can be different reasons into that why people are not technologically educated. Like it may be that they do not have that access to the technology. Like for example, if I give you yours and my example, I can say that we have into our times we have been given the access of technology a lot, and this has made us quick learner. This has made us the people that makes it convenient and easy for us to use any mobile phone and any technology. But similarly, if I talk about the people who are above 50 or 60 or 70 of their age, they were not given that much technological objects, or they were not exposed to that technology too much. So this is why they are having difficulty into using into them. Or I can say that they might do not have interest in using the technology, but sometimes they are forced to use them. So this is basically a quick introduction that what do you think of technologically educated and technologically uneducated people? So right here I have a real life example as well, and this real life example states that Jen wants to buy tickets to see her favorite band in the concert. Tickets go on sale on a Friday morning, and our tickets are available online. Zen has never used an online ticket booking system, and he feels very nervous about doing that. So she would much rather be able to ring the venue and purchase tickets over the telephone, but that option is not available. So Jen does not have a computer, so she goes to use one into a local coffee shop to purchase the tickets online. So is basically struggling to navigating the system because she's not that much uh, technologically educated. So it has created difficulties into them. Similarly, here is one another real life example is that Pakistan is offering a 12-week course to its citizens for learning skills in everyday software. The course provided as a collaboration with virtual university. The course will provide people with basic knowledge. The education will provide Pakistani citizens basic educations. So there can be a one point that how that what are certainly some ways that we can reduce this digital divide within this technologically uneducated people. Like I have two groups of people. One group is technologically educated. One is technologically uneducated. And right now I am focusing on that how I want to reduce the digital divide, the technological divide into uneducated technologically people. Like one way of reducing the technology divide with technologically uneducated people is to provide them with some sort of courses, some sort of tutorials so that they could learn them. And this means that they can even use social media as well for their basic understanding, for their communication inside the world, outside the world. And younger pupils are much more confident in using technology as they have more experience into them, and it's often like this with their go-to resources for many aspects like communication, entertainment, research, whereas older people may feel less confident into using internet, and they might be having a bad experience. And older people are good at using the old landline phones. Older people have known other methods as well. Like they causes resentments if they are presented with a need to use technology to complete a task. Think of two advantages that people who are educated in using technology may have over those who are not educated in using technology. I'm giving you this as a homework, but I can reply to that real quick is that the people who are technologically educated, they can easily solve a very complex problem. It would not take them much of the time because they can solve it real quick. They know how to solve it. They do not have to waste a lot of time. So this is right here a small box. So let's also discuss this, like sending a list of places you want to visit to a friend. So pre-technology was writing them a letter and send it to post, and post technology is just sending them a message. Arranging to meet a friend for lunch. So pre-technology was asking everyone, specifically going there, asking their availability. Post-technology, just you can even make a WhatsApp group, or you can send a text message to each one of them and you can invite them. The third is buying a cinema ticket. In the pre-technology times, you go to the cinema and you purchase the ticket. Whereas in your post-technological time, you can purchase it onto your application or via your online booking. And the fourth area is that researching recipes for your favorite food. The pre-technology can be like you are searching it into books, or you are searching it into your magazines or manuals. Whereas into post technology is that you just have to simply type that recipe and you have the all of it. You can even research on it on the YouTube as well. The fourth one is that finding out how much money is left into your bank account. In pre-technology, you have to go to the banking system and you need to look for it. Whereas into your post-technology, you have your mobiles and applications. You can just track it into and at your home. Like here is another real life example. You can go into that. Jack is an elderly gentleman who needs to attend several hospital appointments. The hospital has a brand new technology that collects all data about the appointments at the hospital. Previous system would send them appointments, but the point is that Jack do not. Jack has a mobile phone, and that his daughter bought for him. He does not know how to use that. Other than to make telephones to his daughter, Jack keeps receiving text messages from the hospitals for their appointment, and the message asks him to reply, but he do not know how to reply to that message because he do not know it. So this is how it creates problem into that. Another point that can be that how can we reduce this digital divide between the younger and the older people? So one of the biggest barriers that to older people using technology is likely to be the fear of it. Like they are not familiar with it, they feel a lot of fear. Whereas when it comes to the younger people, they are a lot energetic and they are interested into using them. What they may not see that the use of technology is hugely beneficial to the older people. And one of the things that can happen with older people is that they become less mobile and are able to go outside their home less frequently. Like if you just start using a lot of these technological devices a lot, then you might feel become isolated. You do not want to go outside. But you see that everything has its pros and cons. Like similarly, if I discuss with you with the people like older people who are not technologically driven, so they might tend to socialize, they might tend to communicate with each other, they are to be seen as like they wants to go out there. So that's basically one of the differences. Like Singapore is a country that are trying to encourage their older generation to see the advantage of technology. They have their retirement villages and built incorporating several different technologies so that older people who live there can experience how the technology can benefit them. Then I have 6.4, and 6.4 is that now we are comparing two of the areas. One area is your industrially developed area, and the second area is the less developed area. And then 6.5 we will start in next class, and we will be done with this chapter as well. So in 6.4, you can see that there are the parts of the world that have greater access to modern technology as well. Like we have USA, we have Europe, we have Northern Asia. They consist of like developed countries where access is more restricted. Like if I say that India, Pakistan, Africa, or Southern Asia, like access to some of the facilities is restricted in these areas, and these are the countries that may have less developed areas as well, and access to technology is being seen less in these areas because these countries do not have their financial resources, or they just cannot invest too much into these important services, and they even do not have the required funds to focus onto the infrastructure of developing them. Like the startup cost for these countries to build the infrastructure is quite heavy, and they do not have access to the technology as well, the internet as well, and they could be put at a both competitive and economic disadvantage. They may not have the ability to trade as well using modern technologies, and they cannot access the same customer or the supplier base at as us it is developed into other countries. Like this creates a difference between your wealth, this creates a difference between your education as well, and this is what that is impacting in all of these countries. That this is the reason that people at some countries may have people with a higher skill set and the people with a lower skill set. Here you have one another real life example as well, that Alina lives in Alina lives in a village in Kenya. She makes a beautiful woven basket that can be used for a range of purposes, including storage of items. Alina sells her product to local customers and tourists. The tourists say that they would like to buy her products online, but Alina wants to sell them, but she knows even how to set up a website and distribution channel. But internet access is very much limited to her village. So this is one of the reasons that without the internet facility, or you just cannot access to that target audience. That also creates the digital divide. And how can we reduce them? Like internet has become one of the most fundamental global infrastructures, and with limited access to internet, we find it difficult to offer these benefits. Like satellite technology may assist to work into remote areas, but large companies plan to implement satellite technology so that they can have internet facility. So governments can definitely plan them, they can promote these business activities and infrastructures, but again, we need a lot of investments, we need funds to manage all of that.